I didn't even give us a chance to set up here. I was just like,
Yeah,
it's like screw it, I've got rolling.
let's record an intro. Just,
I can't, I can't. There you go. Oh, now you can see
now I can see.
me. Hey, is that the mask hair or is that your real hair? It looks actually pretty nice.
What's that in the background?
Huh? What do you think of that? So
What is that?
it's a
Is that
picture. No, it's just a Neil. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I shouldn't have said it like that. No. Oh, you know who it is. Who is it?
It looks like a couple people.
Yeah?
It kind of like I'm going by the guitar,
Right.
so it looks it looks like it could be Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes.
Uh you're not wrong. It could be. You're not wrong that it looks like him. You're right. Yeah.
The guitar, is that Dave Grohl?
No.
Kind of looks like
No.
the
You know,
on
I
stock.
like the Foo Fighters. I do, but not that much. Like I'm not
Neither
a
do I.
big Foo Fighters. I think he's a great personality. I think he's great for the music business and the industry and inspiring musicians. But I don't know. Just not a big fan of the Foo Fighters tunes. So
I'm a big Dave Grohl fan. I'm not a huge Foo
Yeah.
Fighters music fan.
yeah, like I got his book, The Storyteller. That was a good book, really good book.
So who's the chap in the background?
Okay, all right, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to surprise you too much, but it's Tom Petty.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah, man. He's probably got a Rickenbacker.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Hey, that's probably was that a
How about that?
Rickenbacker?
That's cool.
Not a backer, but yeah, birthday gift from my parents.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's a little abstract, so it's not exactly like bang on, right? But it's a cool.
Yeah, I mean, like from here and from there, you can't see his face, and you can
Right.
just see kind of a. It's got a Jimmy Page quality about it too, but I just
Yeah.
knew based on the guitar it wasn't him. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Totally, and this got me this little songbook, Tom Petty, Wildflowers, and All the Rest songbook.
Wow.
Yeah, guitar chords to all the songs. It's friggin' great. It's like I've had Ultimate Guitar tabs, like the website. You can go there and they've got like all the music
Yeah,
tabbed
yeah.
out. That's basically where it started for me, right? And so it was always like, yeah, you don't need music books. You got Ultimate Guitar. But then I got that thing, and I'm like, this is so much easier. It's obviously then you need like 1,000 music books to have like the entire Ultimate Guitar library, but I started playing the songs with that, and I basically
Yeah.
played through the whole album, just with the music book. Like it was awesome.
Just the chords, you mean?
Just the chords, yeah, it's just the chords.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just had a blast. Just kind of had a blast. It was just so much easier than trying to do it online. I don't know. Just the good old
Cool.
paper, good old book.
The old-fashioned way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like old
We
fashioned.
have the same hair.
That's what I was saying, man. That's why I say your mask hair looked really good. Looked really nice. So it's a couple weeks after Halloween. We haven't talked since Halloween. How was your Halloween? Was it good?
It was good. I actually was sitting on my front deck with this mask on,
Yeah.
and it's funny because it scared a couple of kids.
Right. Of course.
Like they wouldn't come close. They wouldn't approach. Even like the candy was right there, and they were like, no.
I'll tell you
Then
what,
one
man.
woman said like, no, come on, you have to, and she made the kid take a picture with me, And he was terrified. Like his face was like,
Just
yeah. I felt bad for him, actually.
if they only knew who was under the mask, and then they would have been like, "Can I get your autograph, Mr. Jensen, sir? Please."
I took the mask off. I had to a couple times. Kids were like terrified.
Yeah. We went to like a Halloween walk with the kids at a farm around here, and the creepiest person was the Michael Myers impersonator with that mask on and the jumpsuit, like
The overalls.
yeah. Like,
I know it's creepy. It's
creepy.
You know what's really funny about this? This was the story goes that this was a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask.
Right.
And
That
in
is
the movie,
rumor.
the killer like stole a Captain Kirk mask.
And that's,
Isn't that
that's
weird?
what
It
they
looks
used.
nothing like him.
I mean, back when they were selling special effects, that's really all you really needed, I think. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
It's just like every news anchor that got scared off of HD, right? You could see my pores. You can see, right? Back then,
Yeah.
those movies, they could get away with a mask like that. That was
Totally.
the beauty of it. Yeah. Yeah, that mask. What was I thinking? I was just thinking, oh, here's the last part about Halloween. It's kind of a little creepy. Isn't it kind of creepy now? Like, you're not really sure what people are gonna do these days. Like, I don't think I've ever been so like kind of unnerved at times either during a Halloween season. Just with the way the world is. Like, I like somebody in that mask or in any mask, and maybe this is just maybe the news has gotten to me, you know, maybe the world is just like, it's like,
Yeah.
they pulled me in, but I don't know, man. Like, I saw the guy with the Mike Myers mask and I was like, I actually don't know about you. I don't know what you're thinking. Like, is that a real knife or is that not I don't know. Yeah. Have I done it? Has the propaganda worked? Yeah.
Yeah. I felt creepy wearing it.
Yeah.
Just the way that people look at you, like they're very intimidated.
You're very
It's like
unsure
literally it's
these
just a
days.
piece of rubber.
It is, I know, but it's just like, look, I'm not trying to bring this down or anything, but like in Toronto, there's been stabbings, right? There's been even, well, I mean, around the world and in the United States, there's been shootings. Like, it's just things are happening, and you're almost like, should we be celebrating and having fun on a night where you can't identify people with the
Good
way
point.
things are going? It's just. It's not. I'm like, it's not fun. It's supposed to be fun, but the people are ruining it. You know, ruining the world.
That's always been the case with Halloween, I think.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this right now is that you're, a younger person than I am by 20 years, and you're making this point, and I'm not.
Well,
About
I know. Well, because you grew up in a time, where it was like, don't come home until 11 o'clock when I'm in bed, so you don't have to bug me. Wasn't that kind of right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like the kids. It's like you send them outside for punishment. It's like that's the. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But I will tell you that when I was a kid, our parents had to check our treats for like razor blades in the apples. Did you ever hear about that?
This is still a thing. They're finding needles in chocolate bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's insane.
It is.
So it's always been a thing, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old and daddish. I'm just getting up there. Like, you can't have fun on Halloween anymore. You gotta watch out, kids.
God damn it.
Yeah, damn it. All right, but I'll tell you one thing.
All right.
Like, it is great for just like stealing your kids' candy. Like
Totally
that
it
is. They've had maybe
Wow,
three to my 36 treats. Because you're like, you can have one on the weekend, and then that night you're just like,
Oh, totally.
But
And they would never remember how much was there, obviously.
oh no. Here's the thing: they don't like. Oh shoot! Oh, making some noise. They don't like coffee crisp. It's my go-to.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, really?
Anyways.
Eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big
Coffee crisp. It's funny because that was the one I was like, you get those bars or those
Yeah.
boxes that are like 50 and 75, and they have what do they have? Kit Kat, Aero, Smarties, and Coffee Crisp.
Uh-huh.
That one box does.
Oh yeah.
And Coffee Crisp was the one that I was giving out first.
Oh yeah.
And I was having a couple of Kit Kats on the side.
I love. Oh yeah. So you're telling me you're not a big coffee crisper?
No.
No.
And Coffee Crisp, I go down and my American friends will ask me to bring them when I go to the States. O'Malley's one of those guys. Like, he loves Coffee Crisp. They don't sell it down there.
Wow. They just sell everything else.
I know.
Like what? Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Only a Canadian. Well,
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Actually, let me see here. Proudly prepared in Canada. So, I mean, anyways, it's good. It's good fun. It's a fun time. I might have brought it down a little bit with how I feel about the world and Halloween, but it's still fun. It's still fun to get the kids dressed up and take them out. So
I appreciate your objective as always, sir.
yeah. I mean, I guess I was just, things have just been really different after the gold rush.
Hey, hey, Cripple Creek Ferry, budding through the overhanging trees.
Let me start by asking you, how long have you been a Neil Young fan? I should ask, are you a Neil Young fan?
I am. And I can answer that question almost to the year.
Yeah.
1989 was the first year that I really got involved with Neil Young. And it's funny because in high school, I used to go to parties where there were older kids, and they I was in grade 9 and 10, and they were in 12 and 13.
Yeah.
They loved Neil Young. And again, I was a metal kid, so I just couldn't jive to it. I didn't get it, right? I didn't understand it.
Harbor Sound.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit
I'm
different.
like, who's this old man? Like, he even has a song called Old Man. Why do I want to listen to this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say. And I got to university, and it was like the light bulb just went off. I'm like, what the hell was I? I heard Needle and the Damage Done, and I rewound it. It was on a cassette, and I rewound it and rewound it and rewound it. It was exactly 2 minutes long. I'll never forget. It was 200. And I would listen to that song over and over again. And then I got into everything else. And then I was playing guitar. And of course, when you're a guitar player, you love playing Neil Young stuff. So,
Did you have a Neil Young songbook?
I did.
Oh yeah.
Actually.
Oh nice.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep. I think it was Harvest.
Yeah. 1989. That's when you started getting into Neil Young. That was when I started to get into the world. Was 1989 near the end there, October. So, yeah, I asked that because I just find it interesting. I feel like when this album came out, 1970, a lot of singer songwriters, right? That whole scene, kind of thing. But when I put this on and I was like, what were people were into this? Like, people were into what he sounded like. He's taken me some time. He has taken me some time to acclimate to his voice. Yeah.
Well, but do you know why though? I mean, this is a very specific, niche kind of music. And if you listen to things like, the Laurel Canyon stuff, we talked about this long ago, you and I. But this is a time I was reminded, because this isn't on Spotify anymore, so I sometimes have to listen to YouTube to hear these albums, or if I've got the CDs, but I'm not going to break those out. And I was listening, and I saw this guy who made a comment, and he said, "I'm 68 years old, and I still listen to this all the time. People today don't understand." And I thought, it just kind of reminded me that this is, and when you listen to, the first 4 seconds of this record, this is going to be a very personal, very intimate listen. You just, right away. There's no flourishes. There's no bombast. It's like Neil and his guitar and a piano, basically, in essence, right? But this is a very personal kind of music with no other intention but to just represent a personal exchange with other people. That's what this music was for. And that's kind of really, when you really think about it, and I always urge you to try to get inside and think about what the point of this music is. That was the point of this music. So when it lacks in bombast and and grandiosity and all that stuff. It makes up for in intimacy.
Yeah. Sure does. Sure does. And I mean, that was a big thing. Like Bob Dylan, even think about his first album, think about then Freewheelin' just after that. And those albums are like, you're meant to listen. Like that's the whole point. CSN, that's just Joni Mitchell. Again, it's that whole era. It's all those people playing that type of music.
Right.
It's meant to, like you say, have that conversation to pull you in.
And they would sit on a stool and people would sit on the floor around them and like listen. There was no talking, there was no cell phones, they would actually listen.
I often think about that, not because they didn't have cell phones and how that would blow my mind, but just that's what they could do. That's what they did. They played music and they made good money off of it, and to the point where they would literally just go house to house every day and just play new music. And I guess it always gets me when I think about the fact that there was so much they're free making music, but doing drugs and partying, that they were all still able to make a living out of it, like still make it the focus, still be able to do this, still be able to, amidst all of that. I just feel like when I get hanging out, this is why I'm also not a world famous musician from the 70s, but like when you get hanging out with people, right, and you're just kind of like, I don't know, there's no going that route. I feel like I feel like it's tough to, like, when you're partying, when you're drinking, whatever, smoking, all of that stuff, and still be able to translate that into like a successful career when that's sort of what you're surrounded by. I would just get sucked right in to all the fun, and I wouldn't even become a writer. Like, all that would be gone, And I'm not saying that didn't happen to people, but just the fact that these musicians like Neil Young made it through that and were able to be successful through all of that stuff, it feels kind of mind-blowing to me.
Well, a lot of people did, and that song "Needle and the Damage Done" is about that. It was about friends that he'd lost to heroin, and that the behavior that you just described.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to hear him talk about that, because he was, people were dying, like, literally around him. They would be playing, and he would say, yeah, he didn't look good, and then like they would say, oh yeah, he died, and it was like, wow. It was just like almost a matter of course. They knew that it was going to happen.
And obviously Keith Richards, lucky to get out of that type of lifestyle too.
He's a special breed, man. Yeah. He's indestructible.
Again, that's what I'm talking about too, right? And we talk about that. We talked about that with, the sax player. What was his name? The sax player for the Rolling Stones. He passed out in the tub and wouldn't wake up the next morning to go play a show with them, and they were like, that's it, right? Like, they partied just as much as he did, and he said, no, I can't do it. And they're like, well, that's it for you. You can't get up and do it, then that's it, and
exactly.
Yeah, I know. I guess when I hear music like this and I think about the atmosphere that musicians like, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Joni Mitchell, everybody were in, that they were able to, the Grateful Dead, Acid, left, right, center. It's just like, and they go out and they just keep playing, and I don't know why I felt I went that route when talking about this, but it just seems like such a bohemian. Well, it is a bohemian lifestyle that you just make a living off of, and you keep that going. And this album was like, it was kind of unbelievable when I put this on and I started listening to it. I'm like, people love this album. Like, people, like, this album did well. Like, a lot of this stuff, I was like, really? That was my first thought.
That's what I mean. I think that you have to be in a headspace, in the headspace to kind of appreciate it. When you're a kid, unless you've got like very sophisticated musical taste, I don't think you can appreciate this stuff. because you just don't have the maturity about you yet to get it. You know, it's going to take you a little while. I said a couple of shows before, when you're a kid, you have very kind of cheap ideas of musical catharsis, right? It's like I'm gonna get laid and I'm gonna smash it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
When I'm a kid.
But
right?
I even just think
But
like
then-
vocally, you know, like I think like listening to him, like whether the message that because I could sit down and put on a Van Morrison album, like you put on Astral Weeks, right? Like that's kind of like the same type of feeling, right? But
Yeah.
listening to Van Morrison, I'm like, that guy's like, I love that voice. Neil's voice is like, that's tough in itself. You know, even like
I was wondering when that was going to come up.
early Bob Dylan. Well, right off the hop, right? Because I hear it, and again, like I was joking, but it starts broken hearts and right,
it.
and you're kind of just like, oh, like is that nails on a chalkboard, or is that like you know? But it's all part of it, and it all felt better by the end of the album. I'll say that much. So, but again, first thought, I was like, people are listening to this going like, yeah, like this voice is amazing. Right? You got to get used to it. You got to get used to that.
See, I used to think that too when I first kind of, was kind of wading into the Neil Young waters. I thought like, wow, his voice is very unusual, and particularly before when I was at those parties as a teenager, I'm like, wow, this guy's like, he's croaky. Like he doesn't, because you just imagine that a singer is going to be able to sing like operatically and in perfect pitch and all that stuff. But he was never that guy. Like producers would say to him, you kind of sang off key there. And he said, yeah. And they're like, what? And he goes, that's who I am. Like, that's what I do. I'm Neil Young.
Totally. And like unapologetically, for sure. Like that's what he did. I mean, his solos, right? Is it Rick Beato? Like
Rick Beato.
They just came out with like the Rolling Stone came out with like the top guitar players or something, and he's like, you put Neil Young on there? It's like, I love Neil Young. Like, his singing and his playing and his writing, amazing. But the guy plays one note solos, and like Neil Young will tell you, I play one note solos. Like it's not meant to be anything crazy or ridiculous on the guitar, and that's just kind of who he is, like in everything that he does.
See, I'm ambivalent because when you listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash Young Four-Way Street, you can he does a little medley in there where he does Cinnamon Girl and two other songs. Down by the River is one of them. I can't remember the third one, but his voice is like he's going tone semitone, and it's even and it's good and it's powerful, and it's like it's not the Neil Young that you might think. It's good. It's live. He sounds fantastic, but then other times it's not. Now that Rolling Stone thing, I think that he's more kind of celebrated for his finger picking style and his acoustic guitar. He's an electric player, but like, his acoustic stuff is like way more celebrated.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Gordon Lightfoot guitar playing, but it's good. But I guess like the point, I guess, with that was it was just that like that's what he does, because he plays it. I was listening to he was talking about like playing with Crazy Horse. He's like we just get up there and we jam. Like we just do what feels right. It's not about these crazy solos. It's not about playing all that kind of stuff. And he's just kind of, I guess, likening it to like his personality in terms of singing and approaching music. And he's got something to say. He's more got something to say, how he says it. And I also didn't mean to be like, hey, let's first talk about Neil Young's voice, but because I think that's sort of like pretty easy, low hanging fruit to start at. But I got to tell you where my head was at when I first like turned this on. But as I said, as you go through it, as you listen to it, I don't know, you just kind of get more of a sense. I got more of a sense of like purpose and meaning with it than just like, oof. It got beyond that. It became closer. It became, something that you wanted to listen to, because it was just all part of the story.
When we've talked about authenticity a lot on this show.
Yeah.
And, this is one of the albums that's probably the most authentic that we'll ever bring to this show is this record and
Yeah.
Harvest.
Right. Okay. Well, let's do it. Let's get into it. Get into
Yes,
it.
sir.
Start with overarching theme of this album. What this was originally a screenplay for a
That's
movie. Something like that. I think what's his name from Easy Rider? Dennis Hopper had encouraged the writer of this, I think, of the movie, what was supposed to be a movie after the Gold Rush, and asked Neil Young to compose it.
See, that's the funny thing too, is that they in the Canyon, everybody knew everybody, right? So it was like, hey, and everything was so loose and like immediate, right? People would say, "Hey, I have an idea. Let's work on it." Okay, and then they just went and worked on it. So this guy Dean Stockwell, I think, was inspired by Dennis Hopper to write, and he was just coming off the success of Easy Rider. This is like 73. Big movie. Jack Nicholson was in it too, I believe. And Stockwell goes to Young and he says, "Hey, there's this screenplay. Why don't you read it that I wrote? And, you can write the music for it." And apparently after the Gold Rush was not completely, but mostly written for this. And the guy, I don't know if this is true, but Stockwell said, Neil had been having a difficult time writing. He had writer's block. And then he read this screenplay and he wrote the record in like 3 weeks or something like that. But the screenplay was about Laurel Canyon being wiped out in this kind of apocalyptic flood or something, right? It was kind of this really stupid idea. And the movie studios didn't want to touch it because it just seemed so goofy. So nothing ever came of it. But this is my favorite Neil Young period. And I was going to ask you, like, did you listen to Harvest?
No, I have not listened to Harvest.
It was a toss-up for me between this album and Harvest.
Yeah.
I think they're both equally good. This one has a slight edge for me, but...
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a couple of the songs off Harvest. Pretty sure anyways. But
Needle is on there.
yeah.
I think Old Man's on there.
Harvest Moon.
That came out much later.
But that was called Harvest.
The record was called Harvest Moon, I think, too.
Interesting. Well, tell me why Harvest Moon wasn't on Harvest. Tell me why.
There's a funny story about this. Somebody asked in the 80s, in the late 80s, in an interview, somebody asked Neil Young, "Why don't you play Tell Me Why anymore?" Because there's a line in Tell Me Why that goes, "You're old enough to repay, but young enough to sell." And he had written that in 72, right? And so the years went on, he couldn't figure out what he meant by that. He couldn't remember kind of, the impetus that led him to write that lyric. And that bothered him. And so he was thinking, like he said, like his quote was like, "What the fuck was I talking about?" And he stopped playing the song as a result because he didn't really understand, what it meant anymore. Isn't that strange?
That's like, again, this is so Neil Young. I don't understand what I was saying, so I'm just not going to sing it anymore. Or it's like, people are like, "Hey, Tell Me Why." I don't understand it, so I'm just not going to play it. And you're like, but just that is such an artist thing to do. Like, and a Neil Young thing to do. I tried to listen to some of these and really try and figure it out a little bit. Like, I was even trying to think about that. Like, I spent a long time listening to that. Just that line, "Tell me why is it hard to make arrangements with yourself?" When you're old enough to repay but young enough to sell. Like, I'm like, whoa, what is? I listened to that so many times, trying to compute it and think about what does this mean? Does it mean anything to you? Or are you the same? You just, yeah.
I don't know what it means.
No, but to you, not did it mean anything to you? Does it feel like anything to you? Like when you think about those
song?
Well, those lines that he couldn't figure out. Like, does it mean, like, when you hear them, does it? No.
No.
Okay. That's fair. I just wasn't sure if you were like, yeah. When I heard that, I was like, yeah. I mean, I have enough money because I'm old enough, so I could continue to put this money down on a house, but I'm also still young enough to sell. So why don't I just sell it? Right? I guess maybe that is the confusion. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he was confused. Maybe he's just confused.
Oh man, I'm sure a lot of people were confused during that time.
Clip this. We'll put it on as a short, and that will say TNRC solves Neil Young's "Tell Me Why" chorus. Okay, okay. He was confused. That's all. He was just confused.
Done.
My man. After the gold rush. the song.
You know what I love about again? You listen to this and it's very spare, right? And it's like very authentic, and it's out of time a little bit. It's the meter's not right, but that's the beauty in this again. It's just beautiful music because it's authentic.
Totally. Yeah, you're sitting there with him. You're like hanging out with Neil with this album. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the lyrics are cool too. It's kind of I think this was written for the movie specifically because it's about like space travel and the end of the Earth and
it's like the three eras or whatever, the three different. Well, not eras, but the knight in shining armor, right? That kind of like medieval time to the present day to the future of being taken away in spaceships. And great melody. I mean, when this song starts off, you're just like, yeah, take me away. That was great melody.
It's one of my favorite Neil Young songs, I'd say. It's just beautiful music.
We'll get to my favorite song shortly. We haven't crossed it yet after the first two songs, but after the Gold Rush is pretty good. So Only Love Could Break Your Heart.
This is kind of a waltz almost. This song apparently was about again, everybody dated everybody else, right? And I think that Graham Nash had just broken up with Joni Mitchell at the time, and this song was written for him.
What a good friend, eh? Here, Graham, let me write this song for you. Or I wrote this song. I was thinking about your breakup with Joni, and I wrote this song for you. Because you probably couldn't have written your own song, Graham Nash. But here's the one.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Oh yeah, plenty.
I'm sure he did. Funny story about that. On the record cover, if you look at the album artwork, and you see that picture of Neil Young walking by that old woman. In that picture that was taken, Graham Nash is in that picture, but he's cropped out.
Oh, yeah?
I think that the story goes that Neil Young just liked the picture so much that the way that it turned out with that woman just slightly behind him, like it's kind of all washed out because it was out of focus, but he wanted to use it anyway, so they added that washed out effect. But for some reason, they cropped Nash out of the picture, probably because of CSNY. They didn't want any confusion between Crosby, Stills, Nash and Solo Young.
So on my first listen, Southern Man came on, and I was like, yeah, pick it up. I was, as part of that first listen, I was like, man, it's been 3 super slow Neil Young songs, and then this came on, and I was like, all right, here we go. Inject a little bit of energy into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That A chord right before the chorus is just like, so it's just, there's so much ferocity in that, right? There's a lot of stories about this song too. Like he has said, because it's Leonard Skinner jumped on him for writing the song. Okay. And you know that whole story about like Mr. Young, like
we'll remember.
Southern Man don't need him around anyhow. And Neil Young later said, I fully deserved all of the, acrimony that came from that because I was so angry at the time. He was living with this woman named Susan Acevedo, and He said she used to just be like angry all the time. Like I would go off and she would want to know where I was, and I would go to my studio, and I was working on Southern Man. And it was in the morning. I woke up early to do it, and I could hear her outside the studio door, being angry. And she had made breakfast, and she threw the breakfast at the door. And then when I opened the door, said Neil, she threw the coffee on him.
Did she throw it at him because he just worked all the time?
Yeah, well, she was a strange person too, though. Like she would sew.
Well, yeah, Neil
his
Young's
clothes.
not the problem. Yeah.
No. She sewed his clothes and used her hair as thread. Like she would sew patches on his jeans, and the thread was her hair.
It's economical. Well done. Hey, thread must not have been cheap back then, you know? That's
Right.
just
That's one of those stories your parents would tell you. You know, goddamn, back in the day, we used to use our hair as thread.
or maybe Neil was the problem because he just needed so many damn patches on his clothes that it was she was just like spending
She just
days
ran out of hair. That's why
just
she was so
like-
angry.
she just all he wants. Well, that's why she was angry. Yeah, because she just kept sewing patches, taking hair.
I only
sewing
have so much
patches.
hair, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Why do you need all these patches? Your pants are fine. Your jackets are fine. I'm just sewing them and yeah. Beat that one to death till the morning comes.
I love the song because it's
Yeah.
just, it doesn't, like, it's just there. You know what I mean? There's no beginning, there's no end. It
Yeah,
just,
it's
just like this idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it speaks to the kind of the free flow of this record, right? It just comes on, and it lasts for a little while, and it's cool. Like the instrumentation is really cool, and then it just fades out.
So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. They're finding ways to have fun. You know, that's again as serious as they are.
That's side one.
Oh yeah, the first five. Five on side one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lonesome Me. Kids on side two.
So this song, this is a cover, and let me ask you first. Like, what did you think of this song?
Well, okay. So it was like the whole album, the first time through, I was like, oh boy, am I like the worst Canadian ever because I don't like Neil Young? But then by the end of the album, so I like my first listen was like, oh man, how much more do we have to go here? And then I went through it again, and again I started just getting more and more attached to these songs. And Oh Lonesome Me was nice. It's not his though, right? It's not his. This is a cover, but it sounds really nice. Like it ends up being great. I love this song.
I think so too. Again, it's an acquired taste, but what I was going to tell you is that I think it was like late 60s, mid to late 60s, he would go to Yorkville in Toronto, and they called it the Village then, and he would do the acoustic guitar thing, right? Just busking and stuff, and he would play in clubs. And he played this in Yorkville, and people laughed at him. They thought it was a satire, like they thought he was making fun of something.
For people to laugh at him when he's playing it at that time, like wouldn't people be going to listen to that kind of music? I guess not. Eh?
You know, it's not an After the Gold Rush.
It's only castles burning.
So it's not a bad impression.
Huh? Don't let it bring you down.
Is this your favorite Neil Young song?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh, is it your least favorite?
No. I really love the opening lines. Whatever, I can't remember. Just the cadence. Oh man, sitting by the side of the road, and it is. He does a great job with that.
And right there, that change, I think it goes from A to like a diminished chord or something like that. It's not, you don't expect it. And that's what I love about this song and Neil Young is that he doesn't, how you know this playing guitar. We talked about this before. You know, if it's going to go to a D.
Right. Yeah. You feel it.
As a music fan who's been listening to music for so long, you just kind of you're like, yeah, that's going to be an F for sure. And it is. But that change that he does right there, I don't know, it's A to A something else, but it's like, oh, that's so good. And it makes the song jump out at you. That's what I loved about him. He would kind of make up his own chords too. He would leave certain notes out of the chord, and it would change the shape of it and the tonal aspect of it.
Yeah.
And it just worked so well.
Yeah, that's kind of almost like the beauty of his voice, eh? Like and how he sings. It's kind of like it's interesting. It kind of has that initial like I don't know, get nails on chalkboard feel, but then it's like what he could do with it with his music is completely perfect and totally meant for what he does.
Is this your favorite song?
This is it.
Birds?
This is it.
No way.
Oh, you want to talk melody? You want to talk about getting lost? This is like what, Songbird? This is another Songbird from Fleetwood Mac moment. This is
wow, really? Yeah.
Oh my god, this is fantastic.
Dream sequence?
No, I didn't have one. I mean, I had plenty of those, but I just none that I could capture because I was so lost in the song. Friggin', it's incredible.
It is really good. This is apparently like an older song that he worked back up for this record. Yeah, this has been kicking around for a little while. He just couldn't get it right.
Yeah,
but man, did he get it right on this record? It's good.
My God, no kidding. This might be like the greatest line that I've ever heard is the
Tomorrow, see the things that never come today.
Like, what? Right? You kind of like take a minute to think about that, and you're like, that's literally every day. It's like you're kind of looking at those things that didn't, like, I don't know why, I don't know what it was, but that line and then into the chorus is like this completely,
when you see me fly away without you, shadow on the things you know.
And the end is like just that hanging. I think it's an E, just like, it's like the perfect ending for the song.
yeah. Like it's almost its whole, it's like almost a movie in itself, right? It's like just like the beginning and this middle, and like you said, just those chords at the end is just like you feel like you've just been through. He's been through the ringer. What is it? Fly away without you. Feathers fall around you and show you which way to go. Like, it's like you can go anywhere. Like, and you sit down, you just like, man, it's just so good. Loved it.
Yeah.
Love the song.
Great lyrics.
Great lyrics. Great song. Great singing. Nothing wrong with his voice in this song. And I felt that the first listen. When I heard this song stood out to me always when I listened to this.
Really?
Yeah, this song, when this came on, I was like, whoa. From the very beginning, I had no like, oof, this one was tough. From the very get. It was this song. It was always Birds.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
So what's next? When You Dance.
When you dance, I can really love you. You can really love me.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like Cinnamon Girl to me a little bit. Cinnamon Girl.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's a good point. It does. Yeah, I'm a cinnamon girl. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, not a bad tune.
No, it was nice too. Again, it was nice to kind of come out of this sort of real like what is it? It's Southern Man and this song that are maybe have the most BPMs, right? They're the most upbeat songs or whatever on the album.
I would say, yeah. I think so.
So like when this came on, I was kind of like, oh, this is nice. This is just pick it up again. Just pick it back up again. Again, that was the first listen. And then afterwards, it became all about those slow songs. Really, that's what this album was about. Like these are nice, more up-tempo songs, but it's just good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because like I love these records, right? And one of my buddies, who's a huge Neil Young fan too, says, my wife never lets me play the music at parties because, the joke is that everybody's going to leave crying.
Right. Yeah.
I get the same thing. Amy's always like, come on, man, like get the tempo up a little bit.
Yeah, pick it up. Yeah, but aren't you listening to the song? Like that's what
right.
Not at a party, Brent. Not at a party. Cares about that at a party, about feathers falling around you and
I wouldn't play this at a party.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Well,
Wow. Well, when you dance, I can really love you. Is that what it's called? I can't. Where did it go?
Yeah, this would be passable on a playlist.
Yeah. I don't know about
That's
Southern
what
Man.
Southern
You think so? I don't know if Southern Man would be a good party playlist, but
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
when you
What
can
about I
dance,
Believe in
can
You?
Really love. I Believe in You. Another pretty little tune.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Apparently, the subject matter of the song, Neil Young had a very difficult time with it, and he only played it. He said six times in his entire life.
Oh wow.
He said it was too deep and it was too personal.
Wow.
He doesn't even like to talk about it.
No kidding.
Don't know who it's about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me
Doesn't
why, and
like
I
to talk
Believe in
about
You.
it.
Just can't play him. There's a lot of emotion, and I Believe in You. There's a lot there. Yeah, he's singing about something.
A lot of mysteries on this record, Alex.
Yeah, no, but he did say one thing. He's like the chorus is I Believe in You, but the poem is everything else leading up to that. Like it sounds positive, but what is it? How can I place you above me?
Mm-hmm.
And am I lying to you when I say that I believe in you? Right? It sounds like a very uplifting song, that I believe in you, but am I lying to myself when I say?
Right.
Yeah. So it is, yeah, deep tune. All of his tunes are deep, but this one was interesting to hear about that because your focus of the chorus is I believe in you and seems very positive, and then if you just kind of go back one extra line, it's not very.
It's like that REM song, The One I Love. People play that at their wedding, and it's if you listen to the lyrics, it's like super dark and terrible.
It's not it. Yeah.
But it's like this one goes out to the one I love.
Right.
But it's actually really awful.
Like Every Breath You Take by the Police, right? It's just people play that at
Kind of.
weddings, but wasn't it about being a stalker? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's an ugly song too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like lyrically and historically.
yeah, and people play that at their wedding. That's like their first dance. That's their wedding song. So, yeah. I don't know the
Those are
RE
for people who
REM
don't know
one too
anything
much.
about music.
Well, yeah. I mean, I might have.
I shouldn't say that.
I might have been my first dance song, but okay. And then no, I'm just kidding. Are you kidding me? Yeah, right. It was a country song, of course.
What was it?
Well, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
Called oh my God, Grow Old by Florida Georgia Line. I always forget. Grow Old. Yeah. So it's a cute song. You can go listen to it if you want. Whatever. I mean, it was great. It was nice. Super nice message. Super nice message.
Good.
I wish it was Cripple Creek Ferry.
Hey, hey, Cripple Creek Ferry, budding through the overhanging trees.
This would have been a great wedding song. You imagine walking out, dancing around with your newly
Fiddle and a...
yeah. I mean, what is up with
yeah.
this one? What did this have? Anything? What's the story behind this song? It's just part of the movie.
This was written for the screenplay,
Yeah.
like explicitly. Yeah. But like it's so jangly and
Yeah.
just like at the 30-second mark, I think you can hear somebody talking in the background if you listen, right? It's just like And again, that's cool, but it's
I guess
like it's not finished.
No, for sure. I guess it could be fun though. Like I was just like sometimes there's songs that you if you're with a group of people, if they all know it, it could be a fun song to sing with like in a room full of people who just happen to know it.
Yeah.
Obviously like 10 bourbons deep, but you know, it would still be I think a pretty fun experience to sing that with a bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it fits on the record.
The Cripple Creek Ferry. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't know.
You know
I don't
what
know.
I mean?
I don't know why, but
It
yeah.
just got this kind of it's almost it's likable in spite of itself, almost.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Which is really strange, but it's like it has a likability,
Yeah.
despite the fact that it sounds very goofy.
Well, and he did that with "I'm Your Kind of Guy" as well. It's part of Buffalo Springfield. Just a real kind of goofy tune that
Yeah.
he for some reason he could do that too. It's a Neil Young thing.
That's right.
Cool.
So, my friend,
This feels like a 4.5. This is a 4.5. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 4.
No, I enjoyed this, and I always enjoy it even more when it grows on me.
4.5.
4.5, 4.5.
I like that.
Good. Thank goodness. It's been hard to please. You've been hard to please lately.
I have not. I'm never hard to please.
I guess technically I'm the one that's hard to please.
So,
Yeah.
what's next for you?
What's after the gold rush? After
We're just
the
picking
gold
them.
rush.
I'm just picking them out of the air
There you go.
now.
Throw the dart, man. You know what we need to do soon? You know what we need to start doing? We need to start having ceremonies where it's like I come over to your place and we throw up a handful of, and then we pick them by throwing darts, or it's like I gotta guess the card that's in your hand, and I don't know, just pick a card. We just start doing exuberant album selection processes. Yeah. Chug a bottle of bourbon, spin around 3 times, and then whatever album I land on top of. That's the one we'll do. We'll just put them around me, spin me around in a circle, and then.
Did I ever tell you about the record game? We ever talk about that on the show?
I don't know.
So I used to have a buddy.
Worth bringing up.
I used to have a buddy, Garby. I still do. He just doesn't live around here anymore.
Oh, okay, good.
But he lives in Edmonton now. But he was hilarious. We used to go to his house, and we used to play what was called the record game. So he used to keep all of his vinyl in milk crates, those the milk crates, and he would stack them sideways and put the albums in those. And he had a bunch of them. And so what you would do is if it was your turn, you would go up and just run your finger across the selection of records. You couldn't see them, and somebody would say stop. And then the one that you picked, regardless of what it was, you had to play one song from it.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's fun.
Yeah. And then when
Nice.
it was done, you just throw it on the ground. And then, the next person would go up and do the same thing. But it's funny because as, the kind of party would go on, there's like records everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not just
That's what I mean.
now it's like being thrown across the room, and
Oh, wow.
record game got pretty
Out of control.
enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
But it was
wow.
it was funny, the old record game.
No kidding. That's cool. Well, you kind of do that. You introduced me a little bit to that. You do now with the iPhone, with the iPod or whatever. You pass that around at least at a party, sitting around, and
Love it.
put the song on. They put a song on. You put a song on.
And then you
I
throw
put a
your
song
phone
on,
on
They put a song on.
against the wall.
You just throw it once it's done. Yeah, there, I did it. Hey, that was my phone. Yeah, cool. Okay, so what are we gonna do? What do we? My ridiculous album selection process comment.
We haven't done Elton John yet, have we? Let's do an Elton John record.
Okay, EJ.
Let's do.
Well, didn't we
let's
just do The
Good Buddy.
Stranger? Is that... You just did
You're gonna have to
Stranger.
explain that joke one day. It's gonna be on your shoulders.
Oh, thought I did. Did we kind of briefly talk about that? I thought I made the joke on the show. Maybe not. Yeah. Okay, good. Elton John. What is it? Sorry, what's it going to be?
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Oh, okay. Here we go. I know my parents have that album. I've seen that album kicking around, so they know it. They know it well.
Yeah. Well, give her a spin and let me know what you think.
Goodbye, Yellow
on the
Brick
next
Road.
edition of Thursday Night Record Club.
What are you trying? Like, what's going on? Are you trying to get me? Like, are you trying to like Elton more piano playing? Huh? Okay. All right. Okay.
No, it just occurred to me that we hadn't done. What are we? 88 now.
Yeah.
88.
This is, episode
We hadn't done Elton John. I'm just going through and thinking about like artists we haven't.
You're just putting off until we get to the Beatles at 100. That's what you're trying to do.
I will. We're going to get to 100, and the Beatles will be number 100 for sure.
And then we could talk about the Beatles now and then. Now and then. Do you see what I did there?
Got it. I got
Their new single.
I got it.
Yeah. Sick. Nailed it. Rock and roll. Okay, man. Yeah, hey, you go put that away for another year, all right? Okay?
I'm going to put it on after the show's over and walk around outside.
I was going to say,
11
whatever
o'clock at night.
you do when the cameras aren't rolling with that mask, none of our business. Okay, Brent. None of our business. Great hair, though. Great hair. Where'd you get it? Where'd you get that? Like, is that an authentic? Like what do you...
I got it's from the Halloween franchise. Like it came in a box that had the logo on it and everything. And it came with a little keychain. For real.
Oh, okay. Got it.
With his face on it.
Nice.
So it's not some shitty knockoff. It's actually like from the It's from the Halloween franchise, I guess.
Not a dollar store mask that would
no
knock out due to the epoxy they used on the inside being too cheap.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, exactly.
I just think about like every time now Seinfeld that when George's wife or soon to be wife Susan, she's just licking all the cheap envelopes. So anytime I think about cheap stuff now, I'm just like, I don't want that to happen to me. So, anyways, all right. Well,
okay.
Goodbye.
Off you go.
Yellow Brick Jensen. See you next week.